Hello everyone, and welcome to this latest Minty Reviews. I didn't have a funny cold open this time because I just didn't have a funny cold open this time. But we're here for the latest review episode of Marvel's Secret Invasion. This time is episode 4. We are over halfway through the season, and as I do normally with these review episodes, as I've been saying in every review episode, I'm going to do the first part be non-spoilers, so everyone who hasn't seen the episode yet can watch it and just get a nice non-spoiler review of it, of my thoughts for it. And then the last half is going to be the spoiler part of it. Unlike the last few episodes of this show, I am not as mean with it. I'm not as disappointed. Yes, I'm still disappointed, but I'm not as aggravated or upset about certain things. This episode ultimately was just kind of meh for me. But either way, before all that, let's get into the non-spoiler section before I actually get into the full review. Let's get into non-spoilers first. So my non-spoiler thoughts for this episode are that it was meh. It was okay. It was definitely better than the last few episodes have been. For sure, 100%. It was better than the last couple episodes. The thing that I keep falling back on with this series is that the acting in it is not the issue. The acting in this series is top-notch and honestly some of the best that Marvel has given in any of their recent projects, and honestly any of their projects in general. It's just everything around the acting is not the best. The best way I can put it is a little metaphor of, it's imagine a bunch of top level chefs, or Top Chef for that matter, where they get a challenge where they have to cook a 5-course meal, a 5-star meal with convenience store food. So you have these top level master chefs and they have to cook a 5-star meal with Vienna sausages and ramen. It's the stuff they're given isn't the best, but they're master level cooks and they're master level chefs and they're gonna try and do the best they can with it. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with this show, is the acting is not the issue. Is not the issue at all. It's just everything around it. Some of the unfortunate political subtext that is very tone deaf in today's society, and just some of the overall tropiness of everything, along with just some writing and some dialogue as well. And this week's episode was also short as well. It was 38 minutes long, which given credits and everything, it was probably a good 35, which is not long at all for a series. And the fact that it also kind of felt like it was trying to pack a lot into this episode and still nothing really felt like it happened was also intriguing as well. But yeah, overall, this episode was better than the other ones for sure. Definitely was better. And I am interested to see where they're going with these last two, to see what they do to end the series and what is going on there. But that's all I can basically say for non-spoilers. So going to go into spoilers now. Spoilers over here. Woo, scrolls. So in 3, 2, 1, super scrolls. So spoiler wise, we started the episode off with a cold open where we get the revelation from the previous episode. We get the finishing of that where Gaia's not dead. Wow, they went with the other option. So they basically had two options here. Either they fridge a third female character in the show, which is bad, or they make Gravik look like an idiot. Well, they made Gravik look like an idiot. So Gaia is revived, and we get a little mini backstory flashback thing from 5 minutes prior, where we found out she took the Super Skrull serum, whatever they're doing here. She became a Super Skrull. She got the Extremis in her. She got revived. Just a little bit delayed reviving with the Extremis after she was shot. That was the best thing they could do for that. I understand. They wrote themselves into a little bit of a hole, and it is the better option than just flat out killing her off. So she's Super Skrull now. More than likely, we're not going to get Gravik after this series. That's just how the Marvel series go. That's just how Marvel goes. They introduce a villain, they kill them off. So she's probably going to be the Super Skrull going into Secret Wars, which is fine. I like Emilia Clarke. I think she's great. But how they've been using her character, not been the best, but whatever. So she's revived. She's Super Skrull. We got that. Then the rest of the episode, we get a lot of Fury. We get a lot of Sam Jackson's Nick Fury, and it is some of the best acting I have seen Sam Jackson do in the MCU ever. Just straight up ever. There is some great facial acting that he's doing in just the scenes where he's just talking to people. There's a few scenes of him talking to Priscilla, his wife, and I understand what those scenes are going for, where they're trying to establish this relationship and they're trying to establish this connection between Fury and Priscilla. However, the issue for me is that I'm not feeling emotionally connected to their relationship or to their connection because we just met Priscilla 2 episodes ago. And the only thing I can think of to make it better is if they had just mentioned Priscilla in maybe Winter Soldier. If they had just mentioned, like, offhand that Fury had a wife or Fury had someone at home to fight for or something. Just something like that. Just way earlier to establish that she existed, then I think the emotional scenes would feel a little bit better. However, we did just meet her 2 episodes ago, and we've only known her for 2 episodes, so the emotional connection I'm getting from her isn't there. However, her scenes are good. Her scenes are really good in this episode. Particularly, she has 2 scenes in particular. One with Fury and then one with Rhodey, which we'll get to Rhodey in a little bit. He's kind of funny. Or I should say, they're kind of funny. Her scene with Fury is at the end of the episode where they're basically telling each other, yeah, we've been lying to each other this whole time is kind of what we've been doing. But we also get the backstory as to why Priscilla chose that face. And it's a really, really intriguing, very kind of emotional story of this doctor who had like a heart condition, who was dying, but didn't want to tell her family. So then after a while, Priscilla just gave her body away to the Skrull, the other Skrull whose name I forgot at this point, to become her on the grounds and condition of she would be buried at sea. She was that she would still be her parents' daughter. She did, and that she would always love Fury and not hurt him. She kind of broke the third one by doing all the stuff with Gravik, but they're still working together now. It's a very emotional scene, very touching scene. It harkened back to the earlier scene in the episode where we're in Paris, literally right after the Battle of New York from 2012, and she's talking to Fury about like all that stuff. So we do get those emotional scenes. It's just I'm not really feeling it as much because we just met Priscilla and they haven't done much with her for us to have that connection between her and Fury, which is upsetting, but that's just the show kind of putting a lot into itself without doing much else, and that's a Marvel issue beyond anything else. But her scenes are fine, and the acting from Sam Jackson in those scenes as well is so good. It's just so good. But then we get to Rhodey. We get to the Rhodey of it all, and the Rhodey thing is funny because there's been a joke. Basically, ever since they recast Rhodey as Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2, people have been making the joke like, oh, they recast him. Does that mean he's a Skrull? Before Skrulls were even a thing in the MCU, that's been the joke, is that, yeah, Rhodey's a Skrull the whole time, right? He's just a Skrull. And it's revealed that yes, yes, Rhodey is a Skrull. I also think it's kind of hinted at that Rhodey is a female Skrull, but we get the reveal that Rhodey is a Skrull, and honestly, it's really handled kind of nonchalantly, and just kind of, like, calmly. Like, there's no, like, big reveal, like, oh my god, it's Rhodey, he's a Skrull. No, it's just kind of, like, this kind of accepted by everyone. It's like, yeah, no, he's a Skrull. He kind of has been the whole time. But then the question then becomes, like, how long has he been a Skrull? From when has he been a Skrull? Has he been a Skrull the whole time? Like, what's going on there? So Rhodey's a Skrull. Rhodey's a Skrull. I'm okay with this. It does set up some really interesting things for the next series of Armor Wars, which honestly I keep forgetting is happening. We are going to get real Rhodey, I'm assuming, for Armor Wars, because this Rhodey is a bad guy. So what's happening with real Rhodey? How long has he been a Skrull? We don't know. But he'll be going for Star Trek, so that's a whole different thing. But yeah, so there's some interesting scenes with him and Sam Jackson, and him with Priscilla as well. And the scene between him and Nick Fury is really good. It's basically like a sequel to the scene they had in the restaurant where most of the same things were talked about. And it's just some good acting. And honestly, it just hurts me the fact that they hadn't been able to act opposite each other before this show, because it would have been better to see them act opposite each other in something else that was probably written better, or just a better package around it. But either way, beyond all that, the final thing that I definitely want to talk about in this episode, ultimately, is the ending. And the ending of the episode is we get an attack on President Ritson, who, whatever, we haven't really seen the president at all. But we get an attack on the president because Rhodey is the mole in the US government. Gravik comes down full force with a bunch of Skrulls disguised as Russians, attacks the president to try and start World War III. Was like, oh no, the Russians killed the president. And they're doing all that. Fury and Talos come running in and to try and save them with the British military, because they're in the UK. And eventually, by the end of it, Gravik takes Talos kind of hostage. Talos is hurt. He has to drop his persona, so it's revealed he's a Skrull. They're like, oh no, he's an alien, he's gonna try and kill the president. He's like, no, he's trying to save him. And by the end of it, Gravik kills Talos. And that one does feel a bit impactful. Again, not as impactful as I feel like it should have been for some reason, but that's just on the show at this point. But it's felt more the fact like, oh god, they're killing Talos, that feels bad. And we see some great acting from Nick Fury there, from Sam Jackson, where like he goes through like every emotion like 5 seconds on his face, and it's amazing. But they kill Talos, and it's not the fact that they killed Talos that I don't like, which I don't like it in a sense of, oh god, I like Talos as a character, not as in like oh man, it's a bad writing thing. I understand that they were going to probably kill Talos the whole time. I don't like the fact they did, but I understand it from a writing standpoint of like, yeah, cool. What I don't necessarily like about it is the unfortunate subtext and troping they did with it, where the scene previously, we had Gaia talking to Talos about what the plan was, because Gaia was like, Gravik has a plan. We know he has a plan. He's enacting the plan for what to do with the Skrulls. Take over Earth. Earth is now their planet. So what is your plan? What is Fury's plan? What are your plans for the Skrulls, for our people? And Talos being the good guy here, is like, after all this is done, after we save the planet, I'm going to talk to the president and be like, hey, can we get amnesty? Can we just live amongst you all? And we have the bargaining chip of, hey, we just saved the Earth. There are a million of us here. And Gaia's like, that's bullshit. You know they're not going to do that. And you know they're not going to do anything about it because it's been doing the same thing for the past 30 years. Which, at this point, I agree with Gaia. I agree. With today's world, you can't just assume that humanity is going to do the right thing and just help you. They're not. It's unfortunate to say this, but humanity just isn't going to. So it's a really great scene there where, like, no, I understand what Gaia is saying. I also agree with Gaia on like a really unfortunate, cynical level. I agree that Talos needs to rethink his strategy here, because he's been let down by humanity so many times. To just, what's your plan to do? What are you gonna do? Just go live on the moon. Like, honestly, just go get some shield tech or whatever. Go live on the moon. I'm sure everyone will be fine with that. Sure, it'll be fine. You already have space tech. You can probably figure out a way to terraform the moon. Hell, or Mars. I don't care. There's a couple of planets out there you can do that. But either way. So the problem with Talos now dying after saving the president is it goes into this whole tropey thing and this whole subtextual thing of like, oh no, not all Skrulls are bad. Only those Skrulls are bad. Which is true. But it's an unfortunate situation in the modern society we're talking about here, of having the subtext there that goes along with the whole refugee situation of like, oh no, not all refugees are bad, just those ones are bad. And it's just a very tired thing to keep doing, where they could just do other stories and they could just say other things with these characters. And it's an unfortunate situation they put themselves in with the Skrulls, with this series, having the idea of them being refugees. There's already a big enough issue discussing refugees, more so a couple years ago than it was now, but still an issue with especially the US talking about refugees and talking about people like, coming to the country for amnesty, for asylum, for, a better future. And you have this whole idea of like, yeah, the country's going to let you in, and then just not give a shit about you after that. So it's an unfortunate thing that they keep doing, and that they kind of did, where they kind of made Talos now a bit of a I don't want to say a martyr, but like a sacrificial type of character to try and like help the Skrull cause, when it's not going to work, and it's going to basically make Gaia's whole issue look like a moot point and look like it doesn't matter, when no, Gaia was actually right here. Gaia was actually right based on how humanity is. And it's an unfortunate thing with this series, and it just goes on to other issues with the series of them trying to have messages that just don't really work in today's world, or are delivered poorly, which is a Marvel issue overall at this point that they've been doing for the past couple of years. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. Like, better writing could handle this better, obviously. Like, better writing could handle this better. And honestly, a little more time for the series could handle this better. But what are you going to do now? That's this episode of Secret Invasion. We're going to end the spoilers there, so boom. So my overall thoughts for the show, for this episode, is that it's better than the last couple of ones. The issues that have been happening the past couple of episodes are still happening, but the acting is phenomenal across the board, and I'm intrigued to see where they're going to end this series. I really am. I'm honestly just getting kind of a bit tired of Marvel at this point, and Disney overall at this point, because of how much their writing has kind of gone downhill lately. And it's an intriguing thing to say. but I'm still going to keep watching it. I might not review it as much, but I'm still going to keep watching it. And I'm going to finish this series to see how they end it and to see what they do. So let me know down in the comments what you think about this episode as well, what you think about this review as well, and what did you think about them killing Talos and the fact that Rhodey was a Skrull, that we all literally knew this from Iron Man 2. So let me know all that down in the comments as well. If you like this video as well, leave a like. If you want to help out, subscribe as well to the channel. It does help out, and you get notified of all the videos as well. You can stay up to date on all my reactions and my reviews and my video essays whenever I finally decide to do them again. Right over here is going to be a playlist for Star Trek Strange New World. That is a review series I'm doing of a show I actually really like every episode of. And over here is going to be a video that YouTube recommends for you as well. Until next time, just stay positive, everyone. Stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace, everyone. Peace.